Man, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Tyrone Hunter, the Headhunter, back in the building one more again. You see the title, I'm not gonna hold you. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and make sure you stay to the end of the video so you can find out what's really good. So, like I said, man, you see the title, Yfn Lucci did not snitch, but he did something even worse. So make sure you stay to the end of the video so you can find out exactly what he did. So, I'm pretty sure by now everybody heard the news. Yfn Lucci can be released from prison in a matter of 4 months. And you would think that the world would be happy that he's about to be released. Following, prior to his arrest, he was dating Regine, which is the daughter of Lil Wayne. Trending in the music world and out there living his best life. Everybody was loving Yfn Lucci. His music was trending. He was doing a lot of features, doing a lot of tours. Everybody was loving him. Then he got locked up, and it seems like the world done forgot about him, right? He didn't get as much shout-outs as, Young Thug and YSL. He didn't get as much shout-outs as a lot of rappers and entertainers who was arrested. And I found that kind of strange. And what it did is it reminded me that some of the most realest people, those are the ones that don't get celebrated. So it's really not a surprise right now that they're trying to assassinate Yfn Lucci's character for being real and for being a stand-up individual. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure y'all share this video. And I just think that it's sad, I think it's sad that he sat up in jail 3 years and some change, fighting his case, never said a word, got stabbed in prison, pretty much didn't do an interview. You got so many rappers there calling home from prison, their folks are recording them on live videos and they giving statements, to the world. And he did none of that. He just sat down like a G and, took everything on the chin. And now you have these bloggers out here, as well as you have these people out here questioning whether he stood tall or not. And this is because they don't know the law and they don't understand the law. And as much as they say or would have you believe that they from the streets, that's the farthest thing from the truth. And you could tell that just based on some of their comments. Now, I wasn't there, and you wasn't there. These bloggers wasn't there. Some of these people in the comment section wasn't there. So we don't know exactly what happened. But we do have common sense to know and understand how to put 1 and 1 together and make it equal 2. And this is what I'm going to help you do today. I'm going to help you put 1 and 1 together and make it equal 2, so that we can get to the point where we stop assassinating people's character. And this is the life that the life in the world that we live in right now, is that whether you're doing right or whether you're doing wrong, people going to assassinate your character. So it's best that you pick your own lane and you do what it is that you're going to do, and don't try to fit in with the Joneses, because you're going to get lost in the sauce. But anyway, and moving right along. So for those of y'all that don't understand the circumstances, right? So Yfn Lucci was in a car with a couple of his homies. They was in the op territory, allegedly. Op shot at their vehicle. One of the passengers in Yfn Lucci's vehicle was shot. Yfn Lucci and somebody else is accused of pushing the individual out of the car. And as a result of that, Yfn Lucci was charged with murder. Let's stop right there. Okay. So, if you know anything about the law, or even if you don't know anything about the law, let's try to understand common sense. Did Yfn Lucci pushing, if he pushed the individual out of the car, is that what contributed to his death? No. The bullets that he was shot with, because he was shot in the head, is what contributed to his death. Now, this right here, this is something that, we got to discuss, because this is something that I don't agree with, right? And this is what I feel Yfn Lucci did, which was worse than snitching, is that his man and his peoples, his homie, whomsoever it was that was with him that got shot, I feel it was very disrespectful. And I feel it wasn't really homie like for him to just push his friend out the car after he got shot in the head. And a lot of people have been saying that they don't agree with that either. And that when Yfn Lucci, touch back down in the free world, that his homie's going to see about him behind that. So we don't know what kind of issues, what kind of situations he going to get into as a result of him doing that. Because one thing for sure and two things for certain is you're supposed to stand by your homie. And if somebody's riding with you, then you should make sure you ride with them. So throwing his friend out of the car or assisting and getting his friend thrown out of the car, I think that shows that in terms of, loyalty to friends, whether he's going to ride for his friends like his friends is going to ride for him, I believe that part is questionable. And I want y'all to answer the question in the comment section. Do you think, do you feel, or do you believe that Yfn Lucci is somebody that's going to stand by a homie that stands by him? Or do you think he's going to abandon him just like he abandoned, his friend that was shot in the head? You could put that answer in the comment section. So when it comes to the streets, we know and we understand, even people that's not from the streets, is that you want to stand by somebody that stand by you. So I think that right there is questionable behavior in regards to Yfn Lucci as to whether he's going to stand by somebody that stand by him. But getting back to it, right? So Yfn Lucci and pushing or assisting to have pushed his friend out the car, allegedly, that does not contribute to the death of a person. And I'm pretty sure the autopsy will reveal that his friend being pushed out of the car is not what caused his death. So with that being said and with that being known, the feds in charging Yfn Lucci with murder, they knew they didn't have no evidence to support that charge. And the reason why they charged him with RICO, which was continuing a criminal enterprise and what have you, or, engaging in behaviors, be it conspiracy, be it, behaviors that they say would forward the goals, aims, and objectives of the gang, that was something that they wasn't able to prove, because Yfn Lucci wasn't just one of these dudes that was reckless running the streets. Although he may have certain affiliations or ties with certain individuals in the streets, but it's no way possible that a prosecution would have been able to prove that Yfn Lucci was acting in a way where they would be able to support the RICO charges against him. See, between him and Young Thug's case, it's a total difference, right? There's murders and there's robberies and there's shootings and all of these things that are tied to Young Thug and his YSL crew. On the other hand, these things are not tied to Yfn Lucci. There's nobody in his crew that have been alleged to have committed some of these acts. But I think the reason why Yfn Lucci was taken off the streets and he was charged with RICO is because there were so many people that were saying a lot of the shootings that was going on in Atlanta was as a result of the feud between Yfn Lucci's crew as well as Young Thug's crew. This is what the streets were saying. And that's my next point. For those of you who are in the streets and running the streets, for those of you who sitting on the sideline loving the streets and waiting for your opportunity to get in the streets, realize there is no secrets in the streets. Anything that happens in the streets, anything that you do in the streets, somebody know about it. And it's only a matter of time before somebody going to utilize that information to their benefit and get your ass locked up. So do yourself a favor. Stay out the streets. All right. So that's the big difference between Yfn Lucci as well as Young Thug. And that's the main reason, in my opinion, why 12 of those 13 charges were dropped. Because those were overinflated charges. Those were trumped up charges that they put on Yfn Lucci so that they would be able to bury him. They didn't have the evidence, for one. They didn't have cooperation from nobody in his camp, for two, that would make those charges stick on him. Now, there are some additional circumstances that we can look at that we could say may have assisted Yfn Lucci in the prosecution offering him a deal, which is, number one, the amount of time that it's taken to bring Young Thug to trial. All of the witnesses, all of the evidence. Okay, so what we have to understand is that taxpayers are the ones that's paying for that trial against Young Thug. And they realize how much money it's costing. So to go ahead and prosecute Yfn Lucci, adding a bigger price tag to what they already paying for Young Thug trial, I think that was something they decided that it just wasn't in the best interest of the folks of Atlanta and the taxpayers to make them pay such a high bill for a trial. So that's for one. For two, again, there was no cooperation against Yfn Lucci. He wasn't admitting to none of the charges, and they knew that going through a trial would be very hard for them to prove that he murdered anybody, because he never murdered anybody. And even if he assisted in pushing somebody out of the car, the autopsy results of that individual's death would have proved that Yfn Lucci actions in no way contributed to that man's death. So the murder charge would have been thrown out. That's reasonable doubt. All the other charges was trumped up. Okay. The second thing, lead prosecutor Fani Willis. I don't know if y'all been paying attention to what's been going on, but Fani Willis is the one that started the investigations as well as the prosecution of YSL as well as Yfn Lucci. And in the initial stages of these investigations, information came out and information surfaced that Fani Willis was having an affair with Big Nut, who is a homie as well as an associate of Yfn Lucci. And that because Big Nut was killed, Fani Willis had a personal vendetta against Young Thug, and this is why she went to prosecute them. All of this is alleged, right? So now that Fani Willis is under investigation for improper conduct, all of the cases that she's prosecuted or that she put effort towards having prosecuted, all of those cases have a real chance of getting thrown out just due to her behavior. Okay? That's a lot to explain in terms of the law, but to briefly summarize it for you and give you an understanding as to how the law works in those instances. So if you can prove misconduct of a prosecutor, when it comes to criminal proceedings, what that does is that casts doubt on the charges against a person. Meaning, if they would commit misconduct, then it could be alleged or inferred that in order for them to prosecute you, that pretty much it was some sort of misconduct involved. And because of that, it doesn't ensure fairness of the proceedings, so a case could be thrown out. So because of that, it made the prosecution of Yfn Lucci questionable, as well as it makes the prosecution of Young Thug questionable, as well as it make the election interference of Donald Trump questionable. And all of those cases, they're scrutinizing right now to see, okay, so do we go forward with these prosecutions and have the cases reversed in the long run? So Yfn Lucci, he pretty much was getting a break in terms of that. The third thing that he's getting a break in terms of is that in having Yfn Lucci plead guilty to being in a gang, right? Pleading guilty to those charges. Part of the prosecution of Young Thug, they're saying that his gang was going at it with Yfn Lucci's gang, and that Young Thug had somebody from his gang stab Yfn Lucci while he was in jail. So in having Yfn Lucci admit that he was a gang, they said, okay, we can let Yfn Lucci go, but we're going to use this as evidence or as ammunition to pretty much knock Young Thug head off. And that's what I think is transpiring. Okay? So, there you have it. There's my take. There's my point. And that's what I feel that's happening in regards to why Yfn Lucci, why he was able to get a plea deal. Sometimes the way life works, it happen to work in your favor. But the bloggers and the people in the comment section who's saying that Yfn Lucci is snitch, man, y'all dead wrong. You're dead wrong. And, to everybody out there in the world, is, you have to understand that nowadays, and living this life and in this world, if you're a stand-up individual, people is going to assassinate your character, and that's just the way that it goes. They say that Gunner was snitching, and man, look at him. He's getting all the love in the world. But now Yfn Lucci, somebody who didn't snitch, and I've even heard, word on the street is that once the paperwork come out, it's going to prove that Yfn Lucci snitch. And I can almost guarantee that no paperwork is going to come out to prove that Yfn Lucci is a snitch, because he was the head of his gang, allegedly. He was the person that they wanted to take down, allegedly. So, in him accepting a plea deal, the only time they offer a plea deal is when they feel that they don't have enough evidence to convict you. For all you slow motherfuckers out there who think y'all know what y'all talking about, a plea is offered when the district attorney or your prosecutor feel that there's not enough evidence against you, or that so long as they could get you to do some time, pretty much they good. They have too much evidence against Young Thug to offer him a plea. So this is why they haven't offered him a plea. So that's the difference between him and Yfn Lucci. But man, I'm not even going to drag this along too much. Y'all just take this as a word. Take these words of wisdom and realize that nowadays, being a real individual don't pay. People gonna try to assassinate your character, and fake individuals, those the ones that run and rule a day. Be careful about wanting to be in these streets and wanting to run these streets, because it's a dirty game. Your homies ain't gonna ride for you when it get thick. When you get in this prison system, them prosecutors and them judges is gonna try to hang you. You don't got no wins when you get to that court system. And then when you go to prison, you're going to have to fight for your life. And the whole world going to forget about you. Life is going to move on. You better off working at Amazon or Dunkin' Donuts. But stay out them streets. It may look pretty from the outside, but ain't nothing pretty about them streets, man. But it's your boy Tyrone Hunter, the Hair Hunter, checking in one more again. That's the information. It's up to you, what you decide to do with it. Because at the end of the day, we're just trying to find out what's really good. And Yfn Lucci ain't no snitch, man. Y'all stop trying to assassinate a real character. You know what I'm saying? He ain't no snitch. He stood tall. And if you're not going to congratulate him, don't assassinate him, man. Tyrone Hunter, the Hair Hunter, signing off. That's what's really good.